Welcome to Ask Prep, your trusted companion for NEET and JEE preparation. Today we will study about a very important topic of biology, which is respiration in plants, glycolysis, Krebs cycle, electron transport chain. When we think of respiration, we often imagine breathing in and out, but for plants, respiration means something much deeper. It refers to the release of energy from the breakdown of food molecules, primarily glucose. Plants perform respiration just like animals do, although the details of how it occurs in plants might be slightly different in terms of context and function. In photosynthesis, plants manufacture glucose using carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. But just making food is not enough. The energy stored in glucose needs to be converted into a usable form. That usable energy is stored in molecules called ATP, which are used to power various biological activities inside the plant cell. This conversion of glucose to ATP happens through the process of cellular respiration. Cellular respiration in plants takes place in a series of well-defined steps. These include glycolysis, the Krebs cycle, and the electron transport chain. The whole process occurs in different parts of the cell, starting from the cytoplasm and ending inside the mitochondria, which are often referred to as the powerhouse of the cell. Let us begin with the first step, glycolysis. Glycolysis is the universal pathway that occurs in the cytoplasm of all living cells. It is an anaerobic process, which means it does not require oxygen. This pathway breaks one molecule of glucose into two molecules of a 3-carbon compound. During this process, a small amount of energy is released in the form of ATP. In addition, high-energy electrons are captured in the form of a molecule that will be used later in the electron transport chain. The beauty of glycolysis lies in its simplicity and universality. It occurs in all living organisms and provides an immediate source of energy. But the ATP yield here is not very high. Therefore, if oxygen is available, the plant cell pushes the end products of glycolysis into the mitochondria for further processing through the aerobic pathway. The next major stage is the Krebs cycle, which also goes by the name of the citric acid cycle or the tricarboxylic acid cycle. This cycle occurs in the matrix of the mitochondria. Before entering the cycle, the 3-carbon compound from glycolysis is first converted into a 2-carbon molecule. This step also generates a molecule of high-energy electrons and releases one molecule of carbon dioxide. Once inside the Krebs cycle, the 2-carbon molecule combines with a 4-carbon compound to form a 6-carbon compound. This compound then undergoes a series of enzymatic reactions. At each step, carbon atoms are removed and released as carbon dioxide, and more high-energy electrons are captured in special electron carriers. Additionally, a small amount of ATP is formed directly in this cycle. What is crucial to understand is that the main purpose of the Krebs cycle is not just to produce ATP, but to load up molecules with high-energy electrons that will be used in the final step of respiration. These molecules, now carrying energy-rich electrons, move toward the inner mitochondrial membrane for the final and most energy-yielding stage, the electron transport chain. The electron transport chain is where the magic happens. It is located on the inner membrane of the mitochondria. This stage requires oxygen and is responsible for producing the majority of the ATP in aerobic respiration. The high-energy electrons collected during glycolysis and the Krebs cycle are passed through a chain of proteins embedded in the mitochondrial membrane. As these electrons move through the chain, they lose energy in steps. This released energy is used to pump protons across the membrane, creating a gradient. Think of it like water behind a dam. The protons then rush back through a special protein complex, and this movement drives the synthesis of ATP. It is like a turbine generating electricity. At the end of this chain, the electrons combine with oxygen and protons to form water. Without oxygen, this final step would not occur, and the entire chain would halt. This entire aerobic respiration process is highly efficient. From one molecule of glucose, the cell can produce a large number of ATP molecules. This ATP is then used to power various cellular activities like active transport, cell division, protein synthesis, and more. It allows plants to grow, repair tissues, and maintain their internal environment. It is also important to remember that plants can respire using other substances besides glucose. Organic acids, fats, and even proteins can be broken down if needed. But glucose is the primary and most preferred respiratory substrate. Moreover, depending on the oxygen availability, plants can switch between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. In waterlogged soils or during seed germination, when oxygen is limited, some cells may temporarily switch to anaerobic respiration. However, this process is less efficient and results in byproducts like ethanol or lactic acid. Respiration is tightly regulated. Enzymes play a central role in catalyzing each step. The plant ensures that energy is produced as per demand and not wasted. For example, during seed germination or flowering, the demand for energy is high, so the rate of respiration increases. Similarly, during dormancy or unfavorable conditions, respiration slows down to conserve energy. Respiration may be invisible, but it is continuous. It is silent, yet it fuels the entire life of the plant. It is a powerful reminder that even in stillness, life is dynamic and full of energy. Keep revising, keep understanding, and stay curious. You are not just preparing for an exam, you are learning how life sustains itself at the cellular level. That's all for this video on Ask Prep. Thank you so much for being a part of the Ask Prep community. We truly appreciate your time and dedication to learning, especially when it comes to mastering biology, a subject that's not only essential for exams like NEET and JEE. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends who are also preparing, and make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an update.